The WNBA, they released numbers for NBA TV.
Caitlin Clark drew 620,000 plus viewers on NBA TV.
It is a crazy high viewership. Crazy high for NBA TV.
Caitlin Clark makes her return. Caitlin Clark back in action, and 300,000 people showed up.
TV ratings are up 300% since Caitlin Clark entered the league.
They said nobody watches women's basketball until Caitlin Clark showed up and shattered the entire system. Her latest game didn't just top the charts, it broke them.
The most watched games in ESPN TV. It is the second highest viewed game of all time for WNBA, that is. And still, more viewership than Wemby versus Steph, more viewership than Ant versus LeBron, more viewership than KD versus Wemby, more viewership than LeBron versus Zion.
624,000 viewers on NBA TV.
WNBA regular season game averaged .34 rating and drew a nice, very nice 624,000 viewers on NBA TV.
Crushing ESPN numbers and rewriting what must-watch really means in the WNBA.
With Caitlin Clark back on the team on NBA TV, they nearly did 300,000 more people.
And that's not even the biggest headline. If you're riding with Caitlin Clark 100%, drop a CC 100% in the comments, because this isn't hype. This is history in real time.
Caitlin Clark is a gifted player.
Caitlin is the one.
No comparison to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is the most must-watch basketball player in world basketball right now. There's nobody that does what Caitlin Clark does.
She's the biggest basketball star in the world.
How special and rare Caitlin Clark is.
When Caitlin Clark steps on the court, viewership doesn't just rise, it explodes. Let's break down exactly what happened and why it matters. Her recent game against the Connecticut Sun aired on NBA TV, a network with less than half the reach of ESPN.
Caitlin Clark drew 620,000 plus viewers on NBA TV. It was the biggest NBA TV game of the year from a WNBA standpoint.
Despite that, the matchup pulled in a staggering 624,000 viewers, the most watched WNBA game of the year on NBA TV, and one of the highest the network has ever seen for women's basketball.
WNBA regular season game averaged .34 rating and drew a nice, very nice 624,000 viewers on NBA TV, making it the most watched game of the season on the network.
To put that in perspective, a typical NBA TV broadcast barely scratches the surface of those numbers. Even more telling, this single game outperformed ESPN's own WNBA broadcast, the Sky versus Liberty.
The Sky and Liberty on ESPN drew 606,000.
By nearly tenfold, which only brought in 66,000 viewers.
The Fever Sun drew 624,000 on NBA TV, while the Sky vs. Liberty on ESPN did 606,000. This notion that if you just put these games on cable TV, that if you just put these games on national TV, people are just going to tune in.
Let that sink in. Now here's where it gets even crazier. NBA TV reaches about 33 million homes, while ESPN is available in over 68 million. If Clark's game had aired on ESPN instead, experts estimate it could have pulled anywhere from 1.5 to 2.2 million viewers.
ESPN is available in approximately 68 million pay TV households in the United States. The reach is essentially double what the NBA TV reach is. As of May 2025, NBA TV is available in approximately 33.3 million television households. I mean, that's huge. What this tells you is, had the Connecticut Sun and Indiana Fever game been on ESPN, it's probably doing 1.5 to 2.2 million viewers.
On par with NBA playoff level attention. And it's not a fluke. Earlier in the season, her return game after injury peaked at 2.8 million viewers on ABC.
Fever versus the Liberty do 2.2 million views.
Making it one of the highest rated WNBA broadcasts ever. Not postseason, not finals, just a regular season game. With Caitlin, even games she doesn't play and tell the story. Ratings for other WNBA matchups without her are being intentionally buried by networks.
Without Caitlin Clark on NBA TV, they did 333. They did 357.
CBS aired a game between the Sky and Sun, but those numbers mysteriously never surfaced. Why? Because they likely flopped. Compare that to how fast networks rush to promote Caitlin Clark's numbers.
Every time Caitlin Clark's on CBS, they can't wait to run to let everybody know what their ratings were.
ESPN's PR team can't post graphics fast enough when she's on the schedule. It's not just impressive, it's historic. She's not sharing the spotlight. She is the spotlight.
The Indiana Fever, they are bigger than this damn league.
Every time Caitlin Clark suits up, it's not just a game, it's a nationally watched event. This is no longer about basketball stats. It's a cultural shift happening in real time. Caitlin Clark isn't just dominating box scores.
Clark scored 32, dished out 9 assists to become the first player in WNBA history to have 100 points, 30 rebounds, 30 assists in a player's first 5 games of a season.
She's completely transforming the business of women's basketball. This isn't narrative. This is raw, staggering economics. What we're witnessing is one player reshaping an entire league's financial future in real time. Let's start with the numbers. According to recent reports, Clark is directly responsible for 26% of all economic activity in the WNBA.
TV ratings are up 300% since Caitlin Clark entered the league. Her games averaged 1.2 million viewers. Her return game peaked at 2.8 million viewers on ABC, one of the highest ever. This is in the middle of a random game in the season. She's featured nearly half of the most watched WNBA games, period.
Read that again. Over a quarter of the league's economy revolves around one player. We've never seen this before in modern sports. Not even LeBron James in his rookie season moved the needle this dramatically. And it's not just theoretical. Analysts are projecting that Clark will help drive between $875 million to $1 billion in league revenue by 2025. That's a $1 billion swing anchored by a rookie. No endorsements, no gimmicks, just performance and presence. Take the Indiana Fever, for example. Before Clark arrived, the franchise was valued at around $90 million. Since her debut, the team's value has skyrocketed to $340 million.
She's expected to help drive $875 million to $1 billion in 2025 revenue. The Fever's franchise value jumped from $900 million to $340 million. Oh my God, they need to pay this girl.
A nearly 400% increase in a matter of months.
Caitlin Clark is printing money for the rest of the WNBA.
That's not just historic growth. It's unprecedented. She's turning a low-tier franchise into one of the hottest sports brands in the country. Ticket sales, sold out. Merchandise, flying off the shelves. Road games, suddenly sold out too. Every court Caitlin Clark steps onto becomes a goldmine.
Caitlin Clark is the needle mover.
She is the needle mover.
She is the franchise player.
And she was the MVP. She is the main draw.
She wasn't the one who was full sprinting down the court.
Caitlin Clark is a rising star in women's basketball. She's pulling in crazy viewership numbers.
She's my role model. I really look up to her.
Why do you like Caitlin?
She's so good at basketball.
Because she's that awesome person and she has like a lot of aura, so like.
And her on-court performance backs up every dollar. In her recent game against the Liberty, Clark dropped 32 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds, while also orchestrating a 19-0 run. But it's not just about stats. That game marked her 9th time creating over 50 points through scoring or assists, putting her second in WNBA history.
Caitlin Clark scored 32 points and assisted on 22 more Saturday, marking her 9th career game with 50 points scored or assisted on, already the second most in WNBA history.
After just 45 games, the player ahead of her, Diana Taurasi, needed 565 games to hit that number. That's not a gap, it's a canyon. This is why the calls for her to be paid like an NBA player aren't just emotional pleas.
Caitlin Clark need to get paid like the men.
They're rooted in fact. Clark is doing NBA-level numbers, driving NBA-level revenue, and making NBA-level impact. But right now, she's being compensated at a fraction of what her value truly demands. And it's not just the Fever cashing in. The entire WNBA is riding her wave. She's attracting new fans, real basketball fans, many of whom never even considered watching women's hoops before. We're seeing mainstream coverage, primetime placement, international interest. Major media outlets are tracking her every move. Social media explodes every time she plays, not just with fans, but with celebrities, athletes, and influencers.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball, period.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT.
She signed my jersey. So happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
She's become a movement, and the WNBA is waking up to realize they've got a once-in-a-generation asset on their hands. But here's the wildest part. We're still only scratching the surface. Clark hasn't even finished her first full season. She hasn't entered her prime, and she's already changed everything. How games are scheduled, how tickets are sold, how sponsors approach the league, how broadcasters promote coverage, and how fans engage.
She is just absolutely undeniable.
Caitlin Clark was just different.
Caitlin Clark is the system.
Caitlin Clark is
generational talent we've needed.
She is the system.
She's fourth in the league in MVP voting.
Caitlin Clark is an absolute all-star. She is the Michael Jordan of this. This is the girl that girls have been waiting for forever.
Her impact isn't linear. It's exponential. This isn't hype anymore. This is business, big business. And Caitlin Clark isn't just playing the game. She's rewriting its rules. With record-breaking ratings, billion-dollar projections, and unprecedented attention, Caitlin Clark should be universally celebrated. But instead, she's become the biggest target in women's sports, and that's no coincidence. The more successful she becomes, the more resistance she faces, not just on the court, but off it, in media narratives, player rivalries, and cultural fault lines. And still, she keeps showing up, keeps delivering, and keeps winning.
So in 2024, she averaged 16.5 points per game, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds. She shot 37% from the field and 31.8% from three. Now, if you look at her preseason in 2025, she only played 2 games in this preseason, and one was against that Brazilian national team. She played 21 minutes. She averaged 14.5 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. She shot 52.5% from the field and 50% from three-point range.
Let's talk about the backlash. Every time Caitlin Clark gets fouled, shoved, or blindsided, it goes viral. Not just because it's a foul, but because it's her. The aggression aimed at her isn't about defense. It's a statement, a message, and it's happening more frequently. In the recent high-profile clash with the Connecticut Sun, she took a hit across the eye from J.C. Sheldon, then got leveled by Marina Mabrey.
Caitlin Clark gets the eye gouge from J.C. Sheldon, and then Marina Mabrey coming in with like a full body check.
This wasn't just physical contact, it felt personal. And yet Clark didn't retaliate. She got up, hit her shots, ran the offense, and finished with a dominant stat line, turning the heat into fuel. But here's where things shift from rivalry to cultural battleground. Clark is being portrayed not just as a player, but as a symbol. She represents the outsider in a league long dominated by different identities.
Caitlin Clark brought sports fans to women's basketball.
Voices and styles. And that makes her polarizing. Some players, fans, and even analysts frame her success as a threat because she doesn't fit the mold. She's not flashy. She's not confrontational. She doesn't play politics. She plays basketball. And for some, that alone makes her controversial. The media isn't helping. Instead of celebrating her, many mainstream outlets focus on the tension around her, often framing her as a villain or someone who hasn't earned her stripes.
Ratings go down 50% when she's not there. Ratings rocket through the roof when she is. Everybody has to watch. She's box office.
They question her presence, her popularity, even her race. But here's the uncomfortable truth they're avoiding. Caitlin Clark isn't trending because of her skin color.
Caitlin didn't bring racism to the WNBA. This has been happening. And that, I think, is what's been such a shock for all of us.
She's trending because she's that good. She hits logo threes with Steph Curry confidence. She sets up her teammates with elite-level vision. And she wins games. Consistently. If she were a man, she'd already have statues built. Even former players have chimed in, saying things like, if she were black or a lesbian, she'd be praised. But because she's white, straight, and from Iowa, she's a threat. That kind of rhetoric doesn't just distort the conversation. It fuels a narrative that overshadows her actual play. The truth is, Clark didn't create the divisions in the WNBA. She inherited them. And now her excellence is magnifying them.
Racism has been impacting the WNBA well before this year. This is not a new thing. Sure. This is, and in that way, I do think Caitlin's being used as a pawn.
She's not just playing the game, she's forcing the league to reckon with its own identity crisis. But none of this slows her down. When she's fouled hard, she bounces up. When she's booed, she drops threes. When she's criticized, she responds by breaking another record. And maybe that's what bothers people the most. No matter how loud the noise gets, she doesn't fold. She thrives. Let's not forget the viral moment that says it all. After taking a hard foul and being confronted, Clark stared down her opponent and said, "I'll do whatever the fucking I want."
She says back to him, "I'll do whatever the F I want."
That wasn't arrogance. That was clarity. She's not going to shrink herself to make others comfortable. She's not going to play politics. She's here to hoop, and she's doing it better than anyone. Even her haters can't look away. Entire fan bases are now hate-watching Indiana Fever games just to root against her. But every view counts the same. And as one commentator put it perfectly, if you're spending more time hating Caitlin Clark than supporting your own team, you're not a fan. You're a spectator in her spotlight. She's the most fouled, most talked about, most watched player.
WNBA rumors suggest Caitlin Clark will be among the first stars making $1 million annually. The most notable of which is, y'all already know who, the needle mover, Caitlin Clark.
So in 2024, she averaged 16.5 points per game, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds. She shot 37% from the field and 31.8% from three. Now, if you look at her preseason in 2025, she only played 2 games in this preseason, and one was against that Brazilian national team. She played 21 minutes. She averaged 14.5 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. She shot 52.5% from the field and 50% from three-point range.
In the league. And yet she never complains, never plays victim. She keeps showing up, keeps elevating her teammates, keeps giving girls across the country someone to look up to. And while others are busy hating, Caitlin Clark is out here making history every single night.
The WNBA, they released numbers for NBA TV.
Caitlin Clark, I drew 620,000 plus viewers on NBA TV.
It is a crazy high viewership. Crazy high for NBA TV.
Caitlin Clark makes her return. Caitlin Clark back in action, and 300,000 people showed up.
TV ratings are up 300% since Caitlin Clark entered the league.
This isn't just about ratings anymore. It's about resilience. It's about leadership. And it's about rewriting what greatness looks like in women's sports. Because Caitlin Clark isn't just playing against defenders. She's playing against an entire system that didn't want her to succeed. And still, she's winning. Caitlin Clark isn't just changing the game. She is the game. The ratings prove it, the fans know it, and even the critics can't look away. From record-breaking viewership to billion-dollar projections, she's redefining what it means to be a superstar in women's basketball.
Caitlin Clark dominates everything. There, it's out. It's out in the open now.
But what makes her unstoppable isn't just the points she scores or the numbers she draws. It's the way she rises above the noise again and again.
That's nice.
And she was shooting the shit out of it.
Of course she was.
Right, so she was shooting the shit out of it.
And she's the face of the league.
Agreed.
She's the face of the league. Agreed.
Just have nothing but great things to say about who she is as a person. She's so welcoming and so warm as an individual that she can have a conversation with anybody. She's cut from the same cloth as me in that regard. You know what? Us Midwesterners, we tend to just, accept everybody with open arms. She was so kind to my family and everyone in the suite when she came to KC. So huge fans of Caitlin Clark.
Love her or hate her, you're watching. And that's exactly why Caitlin Clark is making history in real time, while the rest of the league is just trying to keep up.